Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Confident Parenting Podcast. My name is Julie. If we haven't met before, I am an occupational therapist. I coach moms, which is honestly chef's kiss, my thing right now, my passion. Gets me out of bed in the morning, and I have 3 kids of my own, and I feel like we need to be supporting parents out there. So that is why I'm dedicating a lot of my time to coaching moms in various stages of their parenting game, usually after they've had one child and they're getting into the second one, or they're just having kids and they've had the baby, they're out of that really like new stage of having a child and they're like, now what? Anyway, I have been feeling very inspired by questions that my coaching clients have been asking me. And so I thought I would do an updated how I run my life video, which I don't know if I've ever done that specifically. I'm making that up right now, but I get asked, how do I manage my time, especially as someone who now works from home? I was going to say mostly full time. That's true. I do go out now more. I'm doing like a separate thing that's outside my house, but that's only when my kids are at school or my husband can look after them. I'm not working in like a traditional sense like I used to. So I'm very much self-managing my time, which I do love, but it is a big adjustment if you're not used to it. If you're used to the grind, you're used to being told what to do and doing the 9 to 5, and then suddenly I feel like a lot of moms, and especially in this day and age where the internet exists and you can work from home, a lot of people have a baby, maybe they get hopefully they get a maternity leave, and then they want to revolutionize their life because they don't want to go back to the job that they had, or they decide now, clean break, I'm going to stay at home with my child, and maybe they get back into working or not, depending on their circumstances. But I have been asked a few times now, like how I manage my time. And I thought it was an interesting question because this is something that I have struggled with. I have been indoctrinated, for lack of a better word, I think that's a good word, brainwashed, indoctrinated into that lifestyle of, I went to school, I went to elementary school, junior school, then I went to high school, then I went to university, all being told what to do along the way. I wasn't really able to just make my own choices of what I want to do when. I put myself in situations besides high school, that's obviously something I kind of had to go to school, but I chose to go to university. I'm being told what to do. I got a job being told what to do, what hours I'm working, when I'm coming in, who I see, how I do it, all the things. And if I'm being very honest, like my personality has always been someone who is more entrepreneurial, wants to be her own boss. I don't know. I'm the oldest child. There's some element of that, wanting to be independent and run my own life and be the CEO of my own home. And so after I finally broke away from my traditional 9 to 5 job, I had 3 small children, and it was the first time in my life that I wasn't being told really what to do. I was really in charge, and it's liberating and amazing being your own boss, and also terrifying, and all those kind of stop gaps, is that the right word? All those sort of fail safes that you have in mind when you work for somebody else and you kind of told what to do, but you also have a consistent salary, and where clients might be coming from, or whatever industry you're in, where the work's going to come from. That all goes away when you decide to do it on your own. So I wanted to talk about a typical day in my life / what I'm always aiming for, in the hopes that maybe it can help some of you guys out there if you're in the business of designing your own life. So this honestly can work whether you work from home or you don't work at all. You're a stay-at-home mom. If you work out of the home and you have to be at a certain place at a certain time, you can still do these things around those hours. Might be a little more tricky because your time is not really your own. I've been there, that's for sure, for a long time. So you have to kind of pick and choose what is going to work for you. And honestly, these are some of the questions that I talk to my clients about. I had a call today about this exact thing, about how do I work smarter, not harder? How do I batch my time and not waste my precious time? And this was coming from a mom who works full time, but from home. So she has a bit of flexibility, but she still is running ragged because she has little kids and she is obviously expected to be professional. She has obligations, but she still has to manage her home. It's really tough. So we are going to start to get creative with her specifically, but I think this is a universal issue of how she can achieve her goals and still be the mom that she wants to be, still be the professional she wants to be, etc. So at the end of the day, we are creating this routine, these set of habits. We're structuring our schedule in a certain way so that we can get what we want. So I'll speak for myself, get what I want, which is happy, healthy children, a healthy family life, a healthy marriage, me being in good health, both mentally, physically, and emotionally, and just living a fulfilled existence, because I've spoken about that too. You can have all the things, the husband, the dream husband, the house, the kids, and still feel kind of dead inside. So I'm hoping that this will be a bit of a backdrop, like the spine, so that you can start to find space in your life to explore things that really light you up. But that's a topic for another day. I think I actually made a video about that, and I will have that link. But yeah, I want mental peace. I want to lower my stress, and you'll see as I go through all of these things, how I'm doing certain things and using my time in a certain way to meet all of these goals: health, lower mental stress, creativity, happiness, all the things. I have everything written down here. It's kind of a lot. So if you see me looking down a little bit, that is why. But here is my ideal scenario. And before I jump into that, I just want to caveat, and I've spoken about this as well. We are not robots as human beings, but especially as women with fluctuating hormones and with cyclical hormonal cycles, every week is a little different for us, and you need to have a basic understanding of the female reproductive cycle, I guess, to really understand what I'm talking about here. And also, I think it's important to know this kind of stuff so that you can give yourself grace when you don't feel the best. I think something that we do not factor in enough is rest, and I'm going to talk about that, but especially in certain parts of your hormonal cycle, you need more rest than at other times. So just super briefly, you can go and do more research on this. I think it is super critical that every woman understands how her body works. I went through decades of not knowing how my body really worked until I sort of did more research, listened to podcasts, read more books, did my own investigation. But essentially, if you're looking at a 4-week typical cycle, everybody's a little different, but around that amount of time, a lunar cycle, right? Something like that. The first, you have your period, and you kind of feel a little bit blah, as one would in that situation. Hopefully it's not too bad, and you get through that, and that is like your first day of your cycle. And then the first week to 2 weeks, you're going to feel probably your most energetic. Then you're going to ovulate. Sorry if this is TMI, but this is what's important to know. You're going to ovulate around in the middle of that cycle typically, and then usually it's 2 weeks later you'll get your period again. Those 2 weeks before your cycle repeats, you might not feel your best. I experience things where I feel more anxious. I don't sleep as well. And I'm always like, why am I feeling like this? And then I'm like, oh, because now I know how my body works. This makes a lot more sense. I don't have to make this mean more than it means. Like I just need a bit extra. I just need more rest, or I just need to be a little more delicate with myself during that time. It doesn't mean that I have to stop working out. It doesn't mean that I should stop eating healthily or stop socializing. I'm just maybe not doing those things as hardcore as I would in the first 2 weeks. They often talk about women when they're in their like power energy and their more masculine energy, or if you needed to make a pitch or you needed to go on a job interview, where possible, because honestly, it's not always possible, try and choose the first 2 weeks where you are just feeling naturally more energized, more assertive. You're gonna just be more, I don't want to say aggressive, because I don't even know if we get aggressive per se, but you're just gonna be more out there. You're gonna probably be more social, more extroverted compared to what you would be in the second half, where you just need to kind of dial it down a little bit. And I used to feel like, oh man, like this is annoying. I don't have time for this. But I was also like a total productivity junkie, and I was go, go, go all the time. Or I wanted my body to be go, go, go. And this is actually like a built-in way to force you to rest a little bit because you don't feel your best. But you're not sick or anything. You just need to slow down a little bit, and then the cycle repeats. And also, to have a healthy reproductive cycle as a woman, you need to be respecting all of these parts of your body. And it's very important that you don't step into your masculine energy all month long and that you take it in the waves that comes, versus a man who cycles every day. So he has his assertiveness and then his rest period and every single day within a 24-hour period. I don't know. That's how nature works. I know I didn't design this. So anyway, I want you to keep that in mind. So in other words, I'm probably going to be better at doing some of these things in the first half, but I will pick and choose and take bits of it in the second half for me. But you decide what works for you. At the end of the day, I always like to embrace the pillars of, health, which for me, sleep, massive. My husband and I joke that I'm probably like sleep deprived from the last 10 years of having children. And it's going to take a while for me to pay back that sleep debt. So being really conscious about that, eating the right kind of foods, not junky processed foods. They don't make me feel good. They might taste great in the moment, but honestly, if you don't eat processed foods a lot, when you do, they don't taste good because it's like, you're not used to it. They're very rich, very salty or very sweet. And it's just like a barrage an assault on your senses. But obviously if you get used to it, your taste buds adjust and it's like your everyday. But I try not have that kind of stuff. We don't really do that as a family. We try and cook meals at home. Obviously we could do better. Like we could put in more vegetables. I do really want to work on that. But anyway, so it's sleeping, eating, and then movement is really important. And then for me, creativity and being able to, be part of a community, serve, be creative, that kind of more spiritual side, I think is super important for a healthy, happy life. So let's talk about sleep. I have a very complicated relationship with sleep. Most of the time I'm fine, but I do have moments where, especially if I get woken up by a child or a dog or something, I need to pee, I can't go back to sleep because my mind is like whirling. And as I said, it's always worse sort of leading up to my period or whatever. But I try and do certain things to help with sleeping. I definitely find going to bed earlier makes a huge difference. I don't know what it is. It must be about like our body's interaction, but I'm programmed to go to bed early and wake up early. That's sort of how I prefer things. So if I go to bed too late, like anything after 10:30, 11, I typically don't sleep well. Like if we went out for dinner and then, I don't know, we got home later and it's getting close to like 11:30, I'm probably not going to sleep very well. I'm still going to be awake at like 1, even though I'm going to bed later. You would think you would sleep more, but I'd rather go to bed at 9:30 and wake up at 4 in the morning than go to bed at midnight and try and like stumble my way through sleeping until 6. And then you only really fall into a deep sleep right when your alarm is supposed to go off. Anyway, so going to bed earlier, I take magnesium, like a magnesium supplement, and I am thinking about doing a supplement video of everything that I do as like a 40-year-old. So if that's something that's interesting to you, let me know and I can do that, because I feel like I've got a good combination of things that are helping me keep my energy pretty level. And hair and skin and all that kind of stuff changes as you age, obviously. But anyway, so I take a magnesium supplement with the intention that is for sleeping. And then I found that movement, which I'll talk about now, really helps because I'm at home a lot and like often I'm on calls or on the computer or something, it's sedentary and I don't sleep well. It's almost like I have restless leg syndrome. If anyone's ever experienced that, it's like I need to work out enough that my body is physically tired, that'll help me sleep. Because if I really think about it, I could definitely keep myself awake by all the terrible things that are online and happening in the world and just all the worries that you can have for your children. Like I could definitely not sleep. So my ideal scenario would be to go to bed around 9:30, which I know sounds really early to people, but if I can get some of that time back by waking up early, anything from like 5:30, that really sets me up for a great day, right? Because I can like slowly wake up. My ideal is not to have to use an alarm, but I also don't want to be anxious while I'm sleeping. So I want to be able to rely on the fact that I'm going to wake up. Then to read in the morning and like reflect, just spend time like waking up slower. I am trying to read more and I find it challenging unless I have a book that I really enjoy. So send me some good and fictional book recommendations, like novels. I need good ones, but not too scary. I can't read scary books and I can't watch scary movies. I'm such a baby. But anyway, I just really like, how internalize these images and then I can't sleep. So the whole goal is to be able to sleep. And you want to be able to sleep consistently. You can't just have one good night of sleep one day and then like for the next 3 nights, not sleep well. Like this is the problem with human beings. We have to sleep preferably well every night. Wake up 5:30, read, or just like ease myself into life. And then, then obviously we have like the morning kerfuffle, kids, everything. So doing all of that. But then once they've gone to school, and even if they're not at school, but once they're kind of set up, I need to do some kind of movement. Here's another thing. I also, whilst I do love the feeling that exercise gives me, and I do enjoy what I'm doing now, I'm not going to do it if I don't have to. So I have recently gone back into yoga, which I've done on and off throughout my life. And it's in my neighborhood. It's super close by. I do it with a friend. So I have an accountability buddy, which really helps. And I thought yoga would be easier than it is. This yoga is challenging. And you're doing all these postures that you're holding, sustained contractions of muscles, but it really helps me sleep if I do I notice that I sleep differently when I don't do yoga. So usually I do an hour of yoga, not every day. It just depends on my schedule and like their studio schedule, but probably I'm averaging probably like 4 times a week or something. And it definitely makes a difference. And then I also try and go for a walk. I would like to say I go for a walk by myself. I'm terrible at doing that, but I have done it in the past. But usually if my husband's around and he's not traveling, we'll try and go for a walk. We try to go for an hour, walk like 3 miles, and our neighborhood's like up and down a little bit. So that's challenging for us. And it makes a huge difference because I'm someone that's like used to walking around and doing all stuff all day long. And when you're at home all the time, you just don't do that. You don't need to walk as much. And living in a suburb, I'm not walking to the shops or something. Unfortunately, I wish I could walk to like a coffee shop or something, but we don't have that in walking distance. I have to drive somewhere. And I used to live in New York as well. So you get steps in without even trying. And the irony is I didn't even have like a pedometer, an Apple Watch to monitor how many steps I was doing, but I'm sure it was like 15,000 every day or more. I also, in the morning when I'm like spending time kind of by myself, something I wanted to say is I respond sometimes to text messages. And often what I'll do is I'll send them later. There's like a little button that you can write your text message and then send it later. That way I know I've written to someone or responded to them if they sent me something overnight, but they might be sleeping because they're in a different time zone to me or whatever. So I do that sometimes and just kind of like send to myself. Then I go and work out, and then I come back, and then we're going to have breakfast. And something else that I do in the morning if I'm going to wake up really early like that is prep the house. I like to wake up the house. So I open up the curtains. I kind of just refresh things, reset stuff. We like to have the house basically cleaned up the night before. So it just depends. Like look, in an ideal world, I would have no laundry ready to be folded. The dishwasher would be unpacked before I go to bed, but that's not really reality. Usually the dishwasher is running overnight. There's usually, especially during the week, there'll be laundry that is drying. Either we've hung it up to dry or it's in the dryer. So I will fold that in the morning. I'll unpack the dishwasher. Me or my husband or I will do that. And we just kind of like reset our day. And then, every day is different for me. Some days I'm going out of the house. Other days I'm staying here. I'm doing client calls. I'm filming videos. Just living my life, doing my thing, seeing people maybe. But I put a lot of energy and effort into keeping my house neat and tidy, decluttering certain things. We've got to a point now where I'm not doing that all the time, but I will just spend a few minutes kind of just tidying everything up and getting it organized, because I like to live in a clean, clear space, and I can't think and be creative when things are not in the right spot. Probably call me OCD, call me type A, whatever it is, but there is a balance. I'm not like militant about this kind of stuff, but I do like maintaining a clean environment, and I feel like it helps me think better. And then if I need to work, and especially when it's like self-motivated, which is something that is kind of new to me. I've always, had to be accountable to other people, and that gives you a different level of motivation. You're more terrified than anything else, but I need to be intrinsically motivated. Like filming these videos, I find it very hard to do in the summertime when my kids are around and making that space. And I'm going to try and work to be more diligent about that. One of the ways to do this, and it can apply to filming videos, it can apply to anything, but is to batch things and put things into buckets of time. So I remember learning this method of batching like items, but also not being beholden to 1 hour blocks of time. Sometimes things take longer than an hour. Sometimes you need 3 hours to really get deep into a project, finish something and then move on to the next thing. So I basically pepper my day with like things. So like if I'm going to film, I'll probably film 2 or 3 videos in one day so that I'm in the mode, everything's set up. I'm not repeating the tasks. And this could be the same with anything that you're doing where you have a project, you work on the same project. You don't chop and change a million times, because that's so much friction and energy that your brain has to now add in, where it has to like move around so much and like go from one activity to the other. I think I have a little case of the ADHD. I don't know. But I do find I think of things all the time. And what I find to kind of calm my busy brain is I write things down. I like writing on a piece of paper in a book or something, but you could use your phone. And that at least makes me not worry that I'm going to forget the thing that I need to do. Like today, I used to make such a big deal of like to-do lists and making it beautiful and all this kind of stuff. It doesn't matter. I just write it on a scrap piece of paper in a notebook that I have, which is kind of has everything in it. And there were a bunch of things that I needed to do today, but I was worried that I was going to forget about them. And then I'm using mental energy to worry to not forget about them. Email this person, go to the post office, check on this online thing that I needed to do, whatever it may be. And so I just write all that stuff down. I personally like to check things off, but it is not a hard and fast rule. I think I've spent a lot of time overthinking things, holding myself way too accountable about things that don't really matter, and I'm just wasting energy. So where possible, batch tasks together. And I really think that will help you, especially if you are a stay-at-home mom or you are working from home. Wherever you can, like avoid sort of inefficiencies with your thoughts. I think that'll really, really help. Something else that has also just helped me run my life really smoothly is that I organize my life kind of like a business. Like I run my life like a business. My husband and I have a joint calendar, and I put everything on there that we are going to do or need ahead of time. I always put things on as soon as I learn about them so that I don't forget. This is the thing I think that differentiates people in terms of procrastinating on doing something that's super simple because they think, oh, I have plenty of time to do this later. And forgetting that you're giving your future self a gift, which is really, really important. So I live and die by my Google Calendar. It really, really helps me. And now as I've gotten busier and like started taking on more projects and clients, and my kids are at school and that kind of stuff, they have so many activities. And a lot of the stuff repeats, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they have one thing like one weekend randomly, and then they'll have that thing 3 weeks randomly, and you just never know. It's just too much for my brain to hold. I need to have a calendar, but I organize our lives so that I can just catch as much of the uncertainties as possible, because obviously there's so much we don't control and can't control, and so many things are going to come up that we didn't anticipate. And so the more that I can have a strong backbone, remember we spoke about that, a strong backbone in your home, the more you can cope with unexpected events, good or bad. And then one last thing I'll say about this is that I feel like this is important for kids and kids growing up in homes. And I've had so many clients tell me that they grew up in homes that were really messy or cluttered or disorganized. I want to maintain a certain standard in my home so that my home works for me. So that is why I do a sweep every day, probably a few times a day. I make sure the dishes in the sink are cleaned up or put in the dishwasher. We usually do at least one load of laundry a day, but often 2. And I try now, before I go and pick up my kids, like there's a load of laundry drying outside. I'm going to go and hang that, like fold everything and put that all away before they come home, because then we're going to start the second shift, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But I want to maintain a certain standard in my home that my children just expect so that they can maintain it. And then when they have their own homes, they kind of don't want to live in a mess because that's not what they're used to. And let me tell you, I don't think everybody is born neat and tidy. I definitely see with my children that they don't really care. There's clothes on the floor, there's books everywhere. We do have to go in and be like, please, let's tidy your room together, once a week or every 2 weeks or however often it needs to be. And it doesn't take long to tidy their rooms, but they don't. So it is continuously an ongoing process, but the communal areas that we all share, I try and keep those neat and tidy, and I keep our bedroom neat and tidy. Okay, so I will link a video that I've just filmed actually about chores and the importance of getting your kids involved. But this is very important to running your life. Now, I know a lot of you watching this will probably have small kids that maybe can't do meaningful chores, but that time goes very quickly. And the more that you can get them involved in family chores and make that a part of your family culture, the better. So I will link that video for you. But I do try and get the kids involved. This helps. And I've noticed that when it runs smoothly, like I can actually take a step back. You know, my 10-year-old can easily unpack the dishwasher. My 7-year-old can make a basic meal. Like she really enjoys it. Even my 4-year-old, I mentioned in this video, makes her bed spontaneously. She's not as reliable. And if I ask her to do something, if I don't ask her in the right way, she won't do it. We have to get creative with her. Like, I bet you can't do that, or I'm going to do this and you can't, something like that. And then she'll take the challenge, but she's not going to just do it out of her own, free will, out of the love she has for her mother. But that's okay. That's because she's 4 and a little spicy and sassy, but that's fine. We love that about her. And, we have the big ones that will follow instructions. But I think including your children, don't even get me started on your partners and your husbands. They should be helping as well. It's good role modeling for your children, for both genders of child, to see that both men and women work towards the home, whether you have a boy child that's going to become a father and a husband, or you have a girl child that's going to look for someone who participates and contributes to the home. So that's really important. My husband, because I think especially like both of us grew up in homes where dads weren't as hands-on, they were working a lot, and moms kind of did everything, and that created a lot of resentment. And so I think we both had that model that the mom kind of did everything. And now, because we live away from home and we don't have, daily help, we have someone clean our home every 2 weeks, which is the best thing ever when the floors aren't sticky anymore for like the hour before the children come home. But day to day, we do not have any kind of domestic help, and we both need to be contributing. And my husband is very helpful with laundry and unpacking the dishwasher. He doesn't really love cooking, but he can do basic stuff. And he works, he has a full-time job and he travels. So I do more of it, but he is very helpful packing lunches, taking kids to school, all this kind of stuff. I'm very lucky and spoiled. And when he travels, I feel like a ton of bricks has fallen on me because he's spoiling me too much. It's actually his fault for being too nice. Okay. What else did I want to say? Yes, this is something that has come up a lot. When you are strategizing and planning your day, and I'm just checking the time because it's getting late, you need to factor in rest. You really need to see your life in 2 shifts when it comes to having kids go to school or have a nanny or daycare or something when they're separated from you, and then when they come home. Or even if you're with little kids and they don't go to school yet, or you're going to homeschool them or something, you're not going to be doing school all day long. There's going to be a shift between when the sort of academic day is finished and the rest of the day starts. And for moms, most of us, I would say, our kids are going to like a traditional type of school. It is absolutely exhausting when you haven't done anything for yourself, and now you pick up your kids from school, they come home, and the chaos begins. Bear in mind, if I'm not advocating for you, I'm advocating for you to get up early. And one of the clients I was talking to, she gets up at 5. So she's been up since 5. I get up, it depends. If my husband's not there, I'm going to get up much earlier. If he's there and being spoiled, I could probably stay in bed till 6. But we woke up early. We've lived a whole life. We've done a whole lot of things. We've taken kids to school, done all the stuff, worked, whatever. And now they come home and we're tired. It's 4 p.m. Kids are grouchy. They've been at school all day. They've been on their best behavior. They come home, they kind of let it rip. You have to make dinner and get everyone to bed, get them to bath and shower, do all the things. It's not easy. And you need to be in a good frame of mind so that you can just show up in the best way that you can show up for whatever life throws at you. So before I jump into that, one thing is, I hate making dinner at dinner time. So I will try and make dinner sometime during my day, factor that in, because again, it's like eating the frog, exercising, reading a book, making dinner. These are things that, especially if it's a book it's like a nonfiction book that I'm learning from, I might not want to read it, but I do want to read it ultimately. You got to do these things early while you have that desire to do it and you're not fighting yourself so much, because once you get tired, you lack motivation, you're just like, I'm just going to do it later. No. Do those things early. Dinner is one of those things. But before your kids come home, I often tell clients that they need to rest or do something for them in that hour preceding picking up their children. So that could be taking a nap. Sometimes you need to. That could be reading your book. Just things that are very hard to do when you have little children around, which is like quiet and being alone and silence and thinking. Journal. Maybe this is the opportunity you give yourself to catch up on messages, so your social media, your favorite influencers or whatever your favorite accounts to follow. Maybe this is the time to do it. Like actual leisure that helps restore you so that you can take on the second shift and not feel completely depleted. Because what will happen is they come home, they're hungry, you're cranky, you haven't given yourself any time, and it's just a disaster because everybody's miserable and everyone's tired because it's that 4 to 7, 4 to 8 p.m. block, and it's really tough. And I found it to be really hard with little kids. Now I'm like driving everybody around to different activities and they need snacks and it's exhausting like in a different way. So please factor in rest. Rest is super important. And just like we spoke about with the female cycle, those sort of last 2 weeks of the cycle or last week before your period comes, giving yourself extra room for rest, like not taking on brand new projects right then. The same applies just during your day before your kids come back and you have to like put on your mom hat and things are not as easy to control because it's not just you. That's one thing about work. Work can be very stressful, absolutely. But usually you're just managing yourself amongst like other adults who hopefully are managing themselves. Not always, they have tantrums too. But when you have kids, you just don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get. So those are my things to help me kind of have the best day possible, I guess. I try and do things that I find harder to do at the end of the day. I do that first. And then the afternoon, I really dedicate towards my kids. Someone asked me this question, like, do you just switch off your brain when your kids come home? And I try and just focus on them because I've tried to do the focus on multiple things at once and you just absolutely cannot do that. And so having that sort of time after school just dedicated to them. We come home, we empty our lunch boxes, maybe we change clothes if we need to, we put in the washing machine, we kind of reset ourselves, we put away backpacks, we reset the house, we have a snack, we play, we do whatever. They're just so happy to be home a lot of the time. And now my kids are older, they will play by themselves, they play with each other, they listen to audiobooks, they read a book, they do the homework. This is what like the afternoon should be. I'm around, I'm not trying to work and declutter and work out and do all this stuff and parent my children. The whole point, the way I've designed my life now is that I can really focus on them, because if I had a full-time job outside of my house, I don't know how I would do that. I've done that, and like I'd get home 5 o'clock, frazzled, tired, given all my energy to someone else, and then have nothing really good left for my little children. So I don't want to do that again. And that's why I've had to like upend my life and really change how I live it. And that has come with certain compromises and sacrifices, obviously. And I think for right now, at the stage of life that I'm in, having that flexibility is really important to me. So with that in mind, I hope this has given you some food for thought. I hope it's helpful to you. Please let me know how you run your life and what you do. And if this is something that you want to explore further, I do this in coaching all the time. And I think because I'm an occupational therapist, we are taught to really analyze someone's life in a very holistic fashion. And so I just kind of look at it with that lens, which is seeing the mom as a person first and foremost. And being a mom is a role that you have. It's not the only thing that you do. You still need to be looking after your mental health, your physical health, your creativity, and all of these things kind of give way to more of that. So I hope that you found this helpful. Please go ahead and subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.